Surprise debate with John Doyle. 33 minutes? Man, this must have gone poorly for somebody. 33 minutes, okay. There we go. Look at that. Woo! Perfect.
Having diversity, you avoid this idea of groupthink. You break away from groupthink, and you are able to innovate faster. Why is it?
Groupthink is good.
But, okay, no, it's
So
not.
we're
That
gonna
literally
go point by-
weakens the
we're-
military.
Let's go point by point. No, it doesn't. Let's go point by point then. I want to talk about the Europe versus Africa thing.
No, we're not going to talk.
Right?
This has nothing to do with the actual military thing. I know
the war
I know
between
you
Europe
gotta
and
get back to your
Africa.
script. I understand that you have to get back to your script, okay? But hold on. We're actually talking now.
Nobody
I'm sorry.
watching this actually thinks that your brain's operating at a higher level. I mean, I'm thinking.
I haven't been
faster
able to
than
say
you
a
do,
word,
and
my
I
dude.
keep up with what I'm
You've
saying.
literally been just talking
Let's
nonstop.
go
And the
point by
non-biased
point.
mod isn't even helping at all. So this is exactly
Oh,
why,
I'm
by
sorry,
the way.
Hunter.
Right off the bat.
Okay. I don't know if we're going to get anywhere with that.
Probably
I did
soon,
want to
Jay.
bring in another guest, Olivia.
Hold on.
You want to go ahead and put them both on?
Well, wait. Who are you ambushing me with? Because we're not even done with our discussion yet.
Hi, Hunter.
Andrew. Hey, John. What's up?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We
John
are
Doyle.
tonight's entertainment.
Wait, hold on. Right off the bat, why is John Doyle trying to sound like Nick Fuentes? That was Nick Fuentes' intonation, right, like to every syllable. Did you guys hear that? Like that was like a Jackson Hinkle trying to imitate Haas tier.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Literally, if you closed your eyes, he's doing the joke from Dark Knight. Yeah, I understand it's the line the Joker says, but then Nick says it his way, and this just sounds like that. Like, I know they're both drawing from the same thing, but that's a Nick impression right there. All right, focus up.
We
John
are
Doyle.
tonight's entertainment, here to discuss diversity, here to discuss the military.
Nice.
Hunter, how are we
Finally.
doing?
I'm
How
doing
are
good.
we
Why?
doing?
We took so long to get this set up. I'm happy to see you, John. How you doing, man?
It is true. I'm doing pretty well. You know, I don't want to stand on ceremony with this sort of performative fraternity, Hunter. You know, you had some very abrasive things to say about me in your video, which admittedly I didn't watch. Admittedly, I also didn't rewatch my video in preparation for this because, of course, I wanted to give you the biggest advantage possible. So you're going to have to refresh me a little bit on your critiques as we go along here. But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, the main critique that I had was just you seem to be very much against this idea of diversity in the military, and that's just not true. Like, I thought that was quite delusional, to be honest, because virtually every single study we have, whether it's of a private business or of the military directly, we can see that diversity contributes to a significant amount of innovation.
This is true.
Right. So for those watching, people of Hunter's kin like
No
to do
response.
this thing with studies where they basically use them like Pokemon cards. So Hunter is going to take his studies and he's going to say, look at this study, it says this thing, blam. And it's like his argument is the title of the study. You know, he doesn't believe that people, like as we saw with what Andrew was saying, can experience things, can infer data, can use their inductive reasoning, things like that. So that's why, you know, it's always studies and data. So, you know, people like Hunter also, it's not a coincidence that they're so obsessed with things like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? Like they
never even
conceptualize
watched Marvel.
diversity.
Hold on, wait,
No, not you, not you.
Is this actually your argument?
What a reach! Holy shit! Right off the bat, NPC talking points from John there. He's like, okay, I have to get the slam dunk opener. I have to think all the killer arguments that my end of the political aisle has, okay? So first off, we're gonna make fun of somebody for believing in facts. We're gonna be anti-empiricist. And then second of all, we're gonna hit him with the Marvel movie joke, even though he hasn't said anything remotely, like nothing has happened yet, you know. It's a very... Do you guys remember that first debate that I did with Sargon like 2.5 years ago? Where like, if you get it built up in your head, like all the things that you want to say beforehand, if you like over prep or overthink it, you're kind of like spilling out with like all the talking points that you want to throw out there, whether or not they're relevant or like effective or pointed in that moment. And yeah, it's right off the bat. Okay, well, hey, you know.
Right now is the idea of shitting on data and factual information because you think that feelings outweigh facts? Is that it? I never said. Hold on.
No, if you would listen to my
John,
I know this is one of your reaction streams where you're going to pause what I'm saying and
well,
have
this
your
isn't
little
one
clip
of
as you
your
get to
videos where
finish
you
out
can
of
just
shit.
where you can just make up a bunch of lies about what I think.
Let's just
Well,
go one
let me
at a
just
time.
finish my opening monologue here. My point was going to be that people of Hunter's coalition, maybe not him necessarily, since we want to get specific here, they can only conceptualize diversity like a team of superheroes, right? Or like the what was that Pixar movie, Inside Out, where you've got like this guy with this strength, and then this guy is really good at this thing, and they all come together, and then they beat the bad guy. That's not actually how it works. And you know what it comes down to, basically in brass text, is that anything the military is doing besides focusing on destroying enemies and their resources and securing our borders is by definition operating at a less efficient way than it should be. And so the
What? I don't think that happens in Inside Out. Also, wait, what does by definition mean? Wait, what? Wait, all of that was incoherent. That was wait, did he have a stroke or did I? Oh my god, he's like projecting a stroke at me. That's incredible. Literally, what was that last bit? I'm not like feigning it. I have no idea what he was trying to say there.
military is doing besides focusing on what it comes down to, basically in brass text, is that anything the military is doing besides focusing on destroying enemies and their resources and securing our borders is by definition
Intel, R&D, reconnaissance, different training methods, what logistics. What is what? Yeah, also the military doesn't secure our borders. That's not its job. What are we? It's like he's only played StarCraft, and that's where he gets his idea of what the military do. Listen, if the military isn't being used to expand to your natural at 5 minutes or less, and you're not using it to patrol the southern border of your base to ensure that there are no air attacks or drops going down, if your military isn't protecting the vaccine gas, then it's a waste of time. Okay.
Operating at a less efficient way than it should be. And so the whole idea behind diverse identities, as Hunter articulated, is this idea that like, oh, well, you know, if you've got the white guy, he's going to have this way of looking at it. If you have the black guy, he's going to have this way of looking at it. And when they all come together, you know, they can sort of figure out the best way possible because you have all these different perspectives. And it sounds nice, but when you really like think about what that means, I mean, you're telling me that like, oh, we have more diversity because now we have gay people. Like, what defines gay people other than a fixation on anal sex?
No, I'm not bothered by the homophobia, but he's running away from the talking point again. What is he again, like literally, what is he talking about? Like what is he again, like he has so many things that he wants to say, you know? Have you challenged him to a debate before? Yeah, he backed out because my community was too mean. This is back when he was a crypto Nazi rather than like an open Nazi. Back like 2 years ago or something. We traded shots for a while. Then he blocked me on Twitter because my fans were mean to him when I would, like, reply to him. Yeah. Wait, is Doyle a fascist? Is JQ? No, he's a Nazi. It's like, yeah, full-on Nazi, yeah. What's the difference between a crypto Nazi and a regular Nazi? He used to, like, pretend that he wasn't one. He does still for YouTube TOS purposes, but, like, it's not subtle. Like, yeah. He's actively has done his beef with Nick Fuentes over who gets to be like the leader of the Nazi movement. Yeah, it's anyway, we were talking about anal sex.
So you're like arguing to me literally that
and also
no,
there's
but
studies,
that's what it is. It's a fixation on anal sex. Hunter, you gotta stop. You gotta stop.
How long is your opening monologue going to be, dude? This isn't one of your videos where you just get to just go on a tangent.
I know the big idea
so we can
scared
talk.
the tiny mind.
I know.
Anyways,
yes, your feelings. They're very scary. Please finish up so we can start talking.
It's not 2016. See, this is your problem, Hunter. You never quite left 2016.
And
but
we're
we
back
continue.
to you just telling me a story. Okay.
Wait, how did Hunter not leave 2016? He had one of the most dramatic political shifts of any person in online politics after 2016. Yeah, it was a pretty big. Okay.
What we're trying to do here,
I know that you
literally
have
the
a mod on your side, but like, are you ever going to let me respond? Hey, Andrew, you're ever going to let me respond?
I know. See, this was the problem. I wanted to set up a debate between you guys. Hunter refused, and then he.
I did not refuse. I said that I wanted a. Hold on, wait.
No,
Stop.
you said
I don't care if I got to go against
him.
both of you guys, but I will say I said that I wanted a non-biased moderator, and it's already.
And have I said no? How have I said anything? I haven't said anything. I haven't said anything. No.
If I could just comment on the structure of the debate. Typically, the way these actual debates, as opposed to internet blood sports go, is one side will speak for 5-10 minutes, the other side will speak for 5-10 minutes. There's questions, etc. That's kind of the impression under which I was operating. So I'd like to be able to speak for a few minutes uninterrupted.
I just wanted to interject with the fact that I haven't said anything, and he's saying there's a debate on.
This is this is why I fucking hate moderators, dude. This is why the Nazi types like the moderators. You know what I mean? See, I don't really care about everyone speaking for the same length of time. You just have to be able to address the points. Like, he just wants to, go on a tirade. He just wants to talk about Marvel movies and anal sex. Which, hey, don't get me wrong. I've talked about those things for far more than 5 to 10 minutes on my stream. But, I try not to during debates. I usually try to keep my anal sex-related dialogue down to, a tight 2 to 3. I like my conversations on anal sex the way I like my anal sex. Tight, okay? Anyway.
A moderator on your side, and this is why he refused to come on. But I'm perfectly able to sit here, as I've shown, and not say anything and let you guys talk. So let's go back to both of them.
Right now.
Because you just made a claim that I'm.
Can I respond
go ahead,
to
John.
anything that John said, or is he literally going to sit here?
Yeah, you will have
answer?
ample time.
Yes,
you just got to be patient.
Wait. Are we going to do a 5-minute thing? Because I'm not doing that.
That'd be great. Can you speak for 5 minutes extemporaneously? Are you afraid of that?
No, it's not that I'm afraid of it. It's that a real debate is you say something, then I ask a question, then we kind of build upon that and have more of a conversation, not just you get to rant at your camera for 5 minutes.
I didn't even go to college, Hunter. I know that collegiate level debate, there's the first affirmative, there's the first rebuttal. I mean, it goes in blocks. So I'm going to continue with what I was trying to say here. Well, it is. I would like to think that we can operate at that level. I have a great amount of respect for you,
believe
believe it or not.
that your version of a debate, you're so scared to actually just talk back and forth. Are you afraid of my soy face?
You're not letting me talk. My brother in Christ. You got to stop. I'm going to just continue.
My brother in Christ.
So, again, you'll notice here that what John is concerned about, first and foremost, is getting to Gish Gallop without interruption. He's not actually concerned with delivering a talking point or, engaging with anything Hunter has said. What he's concerned about is the artificial protection that a debate format would give him to ramble incoherently about anal sex for 5 to 10 minutes, Which, by the way, 5 to 10 minutes of uninterrupted dialogue during a debate is an incredibly long time. I can't believe he said 5 to 10. 1 to 2, I think, is a reasonable exchange back and forth, unless you're talking collegiate academic debate. And the critical thing that makes those types of debates worthwhile is that all the participants there theoretically are acting in good faith. Obviously, that's not really applicable here.
Anyway, you won't shut the fuck up.
The idea. You're so tough, dude.
I never agreed to this. You're literally just ambushing me and then saying, "Oh, it's a formal debate now, so you have to be quiet for 5 minutes."
Yeah, it's super cringe.
Let's actually talk about it. Why do you think that diversity does not benefit the military? What's your evidence of this?
See, I was going to continue. Anyways, the idea that diversity does inherently benefit the military, in that video in particular, I think I was mainly talking about diversity in terms of sex and in terms of sexuality. So, literally, if you're going to argue that diversity in terms of sexuality benefits the military, what you're saying is that people whose identities center around anal sex and genital mutilation...
Well, wait. He actually did want to talk more about anal sex. I was joking. I was just kind of, riffing off of the thing that he gravitated towards. But actually... I was correct. That actually was the thing that he wanted to talk about. Okay. Okay. He's ambushing Hunter so that he can try to force Hunter to listen to him talk about 6 to 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Nick Fuentes isn't the only crypto homo in the alt-right space. Oh God, it's the infection spreads. The gay virus. Alex Jones was right. It's in the goddamn water. It's in the fucking walls. God, it's so silly. Are you sure they're crypto? Nazis or homos?
have something to offer to the military. Like they could read something written by von Clausewitz or something written by Sun Tzu, and they could actually amend that text and have a better idea of how to conquer enemies and defend borders than these people. And this kind of gets into the other thing. Well, even if not in terms of strategic innovation, in terms of technological innovation, you know, they have something to offer there, because he mentioned as well, on the battlefield, only 10% of people are going to see combat, right? Now, in my opinion, that's more of an argument against the fact that the military has basically become a jobs program, less against the fact that, you know, it's not actually going to have a lot of people on the battlefield, but you've got the innovation at least, if not the combat aspect. The thing with that, though, is if you say you're going to have 1 million people that can be in the military, just to use that number, if you're going to just stock it with people, for diversity's sake, you're going to want to stock it with the most people who are the most likely to innovate. Because obviously, you know, I'm less innovative than the woman that he mentioned who created that technology. But on average, I think that's what's important to look at. And if you look at virtually 95%, which is an actual figure, 95%.
Yeah, this is a Marvel movie understanding of how the military works, ironically. So guys, the reason why diversity tends to increase innovation is because it discourages, funnily enough, homodox thinking. You want heterodox thinking. You don't want orthodox thinking. The problem is when institutions are sort of like exclusionary and don't allow a broad range of groups of people in, what you usually get as a product of that is that like you have basically stale thinking. And militaries, as well as companies, they both rely essentially on ingenuity and forward thinking in order to, well, in the case of businesses, outcompete their competitors, and in the case of militaries, like, wreck shit. So, I hate this place. I hate this place. So it's not that, like, gay people can do things straight people can't, apart from dress themselves. Or, like, black people can do things white people can't, apart from jump. It's that just allowing for everyone in society to be able to be part of an institution increases the likelihood you're going to get, like, a wide range of outcomes. That's it, you know? And then you have a wider range from which to select good and bad ones. That makes sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Boy, I hate this place. Okay, I'm just gonna hammer this reindeer to death, and then I'm gonna unpause the... Oh. Yeah. I hate this place. These enemies respawn forever, by the way.
Percent of the innovation, both scientific and technological, that took place on this planet between, I think, 800 BC and 1950 AD was done by European men. I don't know why that is.
That's not the relevance. The fact of the matter is that...
It is.
Hold on, wait. Are you serious right now? You're actually just going to do... I'm going to hang up and leave, okay? If you don't let me actually talk and respond to some of this bullshit...
I'm almost done. I promise.
Why are you just talking? You think this is one of your videos right now?
Guys, China didn't happen. India didn't happen. The golden age of Islam didn't happen. Okay, it didn't happen. It's just don't worry about it. Okay, don't worry. Yeah, the Arab math didn't happen. The concept of math that never happened. You know, did he say 800 BC? 800 BC. Yeah, okay. He's literally citing Charles Murray right now. Well, lots of conservatives like to cite Charles Murray. But yeah, yeah. All right, whatever. It's obviously dumb. Let's just let him go.
Now, you've made like 50 claims. I'm not going to be able to respond to all of them. You're trying to gish gallop me, John. You're trying to gish gallop me. Yeah. You're so mad right now because you don't like the idea of having a conversation. You're used to just sitting down and saying, heck off, commie, LOL. You're breaking from your script. I know. You're really scared right now. So again, when
you're the one who's afraid to talk for 5 minutes.
I'm not afraid to talk for 5 minutes. I'm actually interested in talking to you, not just talking that you talk that I talk.
A couple more little bullet points out here.
How many bullet points are you
getting? What are we even responding to anymore?
Well, this is how debates work, dude.
This is not how a debate works. This is not how a debate works, my dude.
Back to anal
sex. Why don't we actually
so the idea
talk?
that, like, oh, we have this one anecdote. We have this one anecdote of this woman who invented this particular piece of technology, this minority who invented this particular piece of technology. In a vacuum, if you were to keep pumping the military with, say, European men, which is traditionally the founding stock of our military, eventually they would have come up with that technology. That's just a fact. Eventually they would have, because we can infer that from the fact that they've invented, like, virtually everything else. So,
do you think that has anything to do with the fact that oftentimes, like, white people were dominating
it doesn't count when other groups invent something? because
say,
white people must have done it anyway?
We're good at innovating stuff.
Well, no. You could say, like, hey, how come black people didn't really present any good inventions during the time that they were enslaved or during the time that Jim Crow was in place? Like, I don't think it's fair for you to just say, well, look, Europeans did this, and that's just because they're European, LOL. That's not how this works. What it is that oftentimes Europeans held more power, and they were in a privileged position where they were able to innovate at faster rates. But it doesn't mean that that is intrinsic to the fact that they are, in fact, European. And again, I'm not.
Then, okay, I have
but
a
you keep trying to call what I'm saying like an anecdote. That's an example of some things that's some of the things that women have contributed or gay people have contributed. Sure, but it's not just that.
So of course, and you all know this, but the important thing to remember here is that like Doyle doesn't give a fuck about any of this. You can present them with like a litany of incredibly in-depth research on how their arguments are bad, and they'll just sneer and go, "Yeah, well, good luck with your sub-Saharan African space shuttles being invented tomorrow." Like they don't give a shit. The funny thing is that like the greatest testament you'll ever find to intellectual diversity across the races is the fact that these guys are the biggest retards we have, you know? In a way, they're actually kind of champions of diversity, because they're like very strong contributors to the undeniable like existential fact that the white race is in fact not really special. Because, again, like, I've said this before, but, like, the thing that kind of put Europe on the map, I mean, the thing for which, like, the West is known, is the Enlightenment. Right? Like, obviously, colonialism's had an impact for longer than that. But when it comes to, like, what do we think of when we think of the West? You know, people tend to cite Enlightenment-era values or developments, stuff like that, you know? These guys are rejections of all of that. They oppose everything there. You know, the Enlightenment thinkers would have spat in these guys' faces. They would have been mocked to their graves because they're really, 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 really dumb. But you know, the ideal West for these people would actually. The funny thing is, like, if the West was commanded by people of this intellect, we would be the stereotype of the rest of the world that they throw out there to support their political positions. You know what I mean? Like, if you had all of these, like, anti-intellectual, like, brick-headed, white men good, other people scary types, like, in charge of society, we would be as bad as their worst descriptions of, like, sub-Saharan Africa or whatever.
Again, it's that by having diversity, you avoid this idea of groupthink. You break away from groupthink, and you are able to innovate faster. Why is it?
Groupthink is good.
But, okay, no, it's not. That literally weakens the military.
Let's go point by point. No, it doesn't. Let's go point by point then. I want to talk about the Europe versus Africa thing.
They don't value individualism.
This has nothing to do with the actual military thing. I know that No. I know you got to get back to your script. I understand that you have to get back to your script, okay? But hold on. We're actually talking now.
Nobody watching this actually thinks that your brain's operating at a higher level. I mean, I'm thinking.
I haven't been able to say a word, my dude. You've literally been just talking nonstop.
I hate this.
And the non-biased mod isn't even helping at all. So this is exactly why,
I'm sorry,
by the way.
Hunter. I thought when I spoke earlier, I was being too biased. Okay, John, let's give Hunter a few minutes to say what he wants to say. Okay. I didn't want to appear too biased because, you know.
So let it be known that I said that I was more than happy to debate John Doyle and.
You did not. No. You
shut up, Andrew.
Never,
so I said that I was more than happy.
This is my show.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and mute. So I said that I was more than happy to debate John Doyle, for example, on Modern Day Debate. And, well, no, I said Modern Day Debate. And on Modern Day Debate, they reached out multiple times. John Doyle never responded. And I directly said, I'm not so sure I want to debate on your platform, Andrew, because I feel like you're going to be
never debate John on my show. And I
said because you were going to be
biased,
on
his show.
And you've now let John go on, because you've let John ramble on for the last 10 minutes and haven't let me get a single word in.
And as soon as you complained, I said you can have the floor now, and John just agreed. So instead of complaining further, just say what you want to say.
Okay. So again, my claim is not that we need to impose diversity on the military. My claim is that by letting more people into the military of all different diverse backgrounds, you are benefiting innovation. And John, I know that you say, like, that's not true, blah, 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 wah, wah. But you need to tell me then, how come we have found not one, not two, but multiple different studies that have all shown that when there is more diversity,
they're all done by Jews.
Innovate at faster rates. Can you please answer why that is the case?
Yeah, I do want to address the one study that you cited in particular, the murder mystery study, which you said was proof that diversity is good. on the surface, it's like murder mystery being equivalent to warfare. Okay. But you have to look at the difference between the two. I mean, you have something like a murder mystery, right? That's like a social deduction scenario. You have a finite pool from which to draw, and then maybe you can find who did it, so to speak.
And diversity
versus like
can help
literal,
that.
open, modern warfare. Right. So what I'm familiar with in terms of the literature.
It's not all modern warfare.
I know you have low impulse control, but you just have to stop, okay? You want to go back and forth, and we have to go back and forth. So in terms of the literature that I think alludes to some of this, like corporate diversity being good, military diversity being good, oftentimes what they find is exactly that perspective thing that you're talking about, where if you have a more diverse group of people, then they're better able to assess situations critically.
Right.
That's the problem. Because all of the literature that's supporting that claim, you have to be careful with what that is implicating, because they're not saying that they're actually better at producing the correct outcomes for situations. Literally what they are saying is they are better at critical thinking. Why is that? That is because when you have more people from different backgrounds, they are more likely to disagree on things, which they define positively as critical thinking. I would disagree with that because, again, I want to get back to the Europe versus Africa thing, because you said that the reason Africa didn't have a competent military or innovation, so to speak, was because of European.
Wait.
I was just making a broad point about the European thing. But hold on, what you just said as far as they have. Well, hold on, wait. I just want to respond to what you said really quickly, because you didn't answer my question either. But first of all, when you have people, you just admitted it, that when you have people, you have a lot of different ideas. You have a finite pool of information to pull from. And that is a benefit of diversity. Second of all, the study that I just referenced to you was not actually the murder mystery one. I was bringing up a study which looked at different banks, and they found that innovation-focused banks increased in racial diversity, that was clearly related to an enhanced financial performance. So when you say they're not looking at the outcome, they are looking at the outcomes. The outcomes are specifically benefiting by having more diversity. This isn't just in private firms where this has been discovered. Even the military itself has found that when women are involved in complex problem solving, they solve problems at faster rates than groups that are just made up of men, for example. So what's wrong with this? Why don't we want our military to be strong and efficient?
What's the response?
I would be curious to see the sample size from that.
Pertaining
to women.
That's what I was. That's what I was thinking right there. That's about on par with what I've come to expect. They don't. I mean, he doesn't care, right? Like I'm pretty sure. If he wasn't trying to optics game better than Fuentes does, I'm pretty sure he would just say, like, Jews did all this, you know? I don't think he really cares about engaging with this anymore. This is only a 30-minute debate. Yeah, if you can believe it, which is, it's efficient, okay? We get very few of those.
Because men are more rational than women.
This is a lie.
I would imagine it's not a lie.
That's a lie. Yeah, it is.
It's absolutely not a lie.
No, it's a lie.
And
how do you feel about this study that shows that when you add women to groups, they engage in higher levels of critical thinking? I'd like to see that, because women are kind of retarded, so there's probably something wrong with that stuff. You know, honestly, I admire the Grug approach to intellectualism. I kind of admire it. I respect it.
There's even studies supporting that, too.
No, there isn't. There's studies reporting the complete opposite, but I know that you kind of have to just make up stuff. But, okay, go ahead. What were you saying?
Well, anyways. So it's like if you take a sample size of high IQ women and compare them to average IQ men, they're going to be better at solving those problems. But if I took 100 women off the street and 100 men off the street, I mean, you would be delusional to suggest that the women would be better at solving the problems than the men would. I mean, this is just a fact.
No, not at all.
And so
it's not true.
In terms of the social production, it is true. Dude, like,
it's not true.
I don't know if you're lying. I don't know, like, what kind of bubble you live in to actually believe this. It reminds me of the Trump tweet. Like, is this even possible to believe?
You haven't provided any evidence. You're just saying, like, obviously this is the case. I have evidence after evidence after evidence that shows that the Marine Corps, for example, found that including women resulted in just as good, if not better, cognitive performance with these challenging problems. I have information showing that when women are involved in high firm companies, they perform better the more diversity is implemented in those companies. This is a clear evidence that women are not less rational than men. You're going to have some women that are less rational than men. You're also going to have some men that are less rational than women. They have done studies where they presented men and women with complex moral problems, and at the end of the day, men and women were just as rational. This is just a lie that you're saying right now.
No, it's not. There's
God,
a really
it's
good
healing.
book that I don't think you'll read, but if anyone's interested, it's called The Rationality Quotient, and it's, how to quantify actually thinking rationally. And they found, like, I think a 0.67 or 0.68 advantage in terms of rational thinking for men.
Out of curiosity, the rational quotient. I misspelled that. Let's see. An effort of staggering scale and enormous accomplishment. Let me see. Critical elements of cognitive functioning. I'm just trying to see if this is a real book that he's misrepresenting or a Nazi book that he's presenting honestly and the text itself is bad. And written by Keith E. Stanovich. Just look up the author. That'll get it for you like 90% of the time. Professor Emeritus of Applied Psychology and Human Development, University of Toronto. That seems pretty reputable. Let's see. Featured in Behavioral and Brain Sciences. Won an award. Seems like a pretty bright guy. All right, I'm going to guess it's him misrepresenting the info in some way. That seems more likely. It must frustrate academics very much to have their work misrepresented like that, especially intelligence researchers, I'm pretty sure, like, a lot of papers on, like, IQ differences between different groups of people are, like, plastered with, hey, this is because of, like, sociological differences. The study literally says right here it's in all likelihood because of this or that. And that because they know someone's gonna, like, cherry-pick the study to make some kind of, like, stupid essentialist point. All right.
So again, I don't even think this is worth addressing. But again, what you're arguing, I'm frankly much less concerned about, like, all of the studies and things like that. I'm talking about, like, what we know about world history. What you are arguing is that all of the conquests of, for example, the Roman Empire would have been better if you would have had more women involved or more gay people involved or things like that. And this is why I don't know why you are so like.
Hold on, there were plenty of gay people involved in the conquests of the Roman Empire. And let's not get ahistorical here, okay? Homosexuality won the Roman Empire. It's goddamn borders, all right? Do you think he thinks the Romans were straight and, like, not diverse? The all-white, incredibly heterosexual Roman Empire. It's true. It's true. God. So stupid. It's always so dumb, you know? He thinks the Romans were straight and grape-pilled. What's that? Oh. Can I, guys, I've done every other boss. Soul level 1, no shield, no magic. I beat Fume Knight. I beat the Ivory King. I beat Blue Smelter Demon. I beat the Gank Trio. I beat Nasandra. Can I please skip the fucking cats? Please. It will take forever. Fine, you're all going to be here. I'm not doing anything until this boss dies. We've been streaming for 30 minutes, and I haven't even gotten to the fucking boss arena yet. And we're going to stay here.
Like, afraid of this comparison. But when you're talking about, like, Africa was at a disadvantage
30
versus
minutes.
Europe, well, why then was Europe able to come in and colonize Africa? If we were really at a level playing field, they have more natural resources than Europe.
wasn't even my argument.
Why weren't they able to man the defenses? I understand that, but listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying that innovation is more likely to come from European men, as evidenced by
Again, like this is the level of cognitive engagement we're on. If you really think that, like, diversity increases, like, critical thinking, then why wasn't Africa able to defeat Europe in the Civilization War? Because that's, like, the level they think on, you know? Like, they're not capable of nuance on a political level. In fact, they're opposed to nuance, which means, of course, that they're incapable of analysis. So the only shit they can come up with is, like, well, like, pretending that, like, the civilizations are like the like 4 elemental civilizations of Avatar or some shit, you know? Like, oh yeah, there are just, like, 4 groups of people, you know? Why do they think diversity means Africa? Why do you think? The guy heard diversity and started talking about anal sex.
literally 95% of all of it. You're saying no. I'm saying, okay, well, if that's not the case, why was Africa not able to defend itself from European colonization?
These are completely unrelated. The European colonization had everything to do with advanced levels of technology, even different climates.
Where did that come from?
Hold on. Even different climates had an effect there. This idea of, well, Africa couldn't defend itself, therefore minorities are not good for innovation is irrelevant. This is one of the weakest arguments I've ever heard.
Wait, hold on. Weren't the Britons, like, fucking owned by the Romans? Like, the Britons were colonized and, like, just completely wrecked by the Romans. Then the UK became the head of, like, the colonization for centuries afterwards. How did that happen? Wait, I don't get it. Also, the English and French empires were very multicultural. Well, yeah, guys, go back through history. All empires are multicultural. There has never been a monocultural empire. What do you think an empire is? How do you expand the borders of your group without encompassing other groups? There's no such thing. It's an empire, you know? Han China? Haven't there been like 78 Chinese empires? There's a lot of ethnic diversity in China. I'm not an expert on it though. But yeah. China's done some wacky stuff, you know. They've had a few gamer moments, you know. Yeah.
We need to combine and look at how diversity interacts with the military and in actual companies, because that's how the military is. You keep saying, well, what about the fighting field and this, that, and the other
agree
thing?
with that. The military is a company. Get that.
Well, no. It's not just the company, but it's a group where there is a large amount of people that are all working towards a common goal. And if you want to talk about, if you actually want to talk about world history, I mean, you can look at historical examples. Since the 1800s, for example, armies with high rates of inequality have done poorly, according to all kinds of measures. One statistical analysis focused on armies with high rates of inequality, and that they found that increased the odds by 50% that an army will suffer more casualties than it inflicts on the other side. So that's
I don't know if I've seen the studies that Hunter has seen, but I have read a pretty convincing write-up about how one of the reasons the most effective and long-lasting empires were able to persevere is because they were very effective at incorporating and recruiting soldiers from the provinces that they conquered, you know? So the idea would be, like, if your empire is expanding, like, it's idiotic to go, like, oh yeah, to make our empire strong, we have to only recruit soldiers from, like, the original ethnic provinces that we operated from. Like, as though, like, the Romans were, like, recruiting soldiers from, like, 1,000 miles away from the front lines. Like, it would take them, like, 3 months just to get to the battle from there. So, no, of course, you recruit and you draft from every province that you can, you know? The Persian Empire did this as well, didn't it? The Persian Empire was famous for doing this. Basically, like, India is, like, crazy multi-ethnic. Like, insanely so. I'm not super educated on, like, Chinese or Indian, like, imperial history, but I know that, like, a ton of the stuff that's gone on in that subcontinent has come down to, like, the unification of different ethnic groups, you know? Yeah, there are so many languages that are used in India. It is wild. Yeah. No, yeah, the idea that diversity improves the effectiveness of, like, a big, like, organization, that's just true, you know? There's not really much arguing against it. What does Doyle have to say about the Roman Empire and Greek empires being really gay? Whatever he would have to say. Stir Silver, you have to understand, they don't have a coherent or consistent ideology, you know? You could never pose a defeater to them that would make them reconsider their points. So, would he say, oh, they were gay, and that was the one cringe thing about them? Would he say, oh, they were gay, but that wasn't bad at the time because it was not as degenerate back then? Would he say they weren't actually gay? Like, he could say all those, or none of them. He could change his answer. It doesn't matter. They will never change their mind, because they didn't logic their way into these positions.
Some world history for you right there. When you are discriminatory, or when you don't properly include minorities into your group, you lack positive outcomes. You weaken the military. You weaken the morale. And again, I don't know why you keep going back to this Africa thing. At the end of the day, we have multiple different studies that have shown that when women and black people and minorities are included in these firms, they do better. You're just denying this. You're just denying it right now.
Okay, I have another question. Help me understand. If we know that if you have a group of like, say 50 bland vanilla white men and you throw in the black people and women, you're saying that that'll help that company do better, that military operation do better, then why then in the places in the world where we see the most black people or the most...
See, again, because he's a racial essentialist, he thinks that every black person in Africa is exactly the same as every black, like, college graduate, like MIT, you know, like somebody who's joining the military, like some shit like that, you know, like they're all the same in his head. So he can't wrap his way around it. It doesn't work in his head. Yeah, he literally thinks like diversity is when you're black, and being black means that you're like any indiscriminate member of a group of people that has like 2 billion members or something.
To any sort of minority group, why then are they not doing as well as where we see the most groups of like white male dominated spheres?
Sure,
if that's the
I can
case.
answer that.
So John Doyle, like, again, we must observe at this moment the profound retardation of this subhumanly unintelligent person put before us, okay? So the argument that Hunter has made, what, 8 times now, is that it's about encouraging diverse thinking, about opposing groupthink, about encouraging, like, heterodox problem solving. So whether or not any group of people, even if you were to pre-assume that black people are less intelligent, which John Doyle certainly has, that has nothing to do with what Hunter is saying. In fact, you could argue that even if you could objectively prove that different racial groups were different levels of intelligence, that wouldn't change the fact that you would get a proportionally greater benefit from the heterodox thinking that you would receive from having that diverse range of opinions available. Does that make sense? So John Doyle isn't just wrong, he's wrong on, like, the incorrect playing field. You know what I mean? He's not just losing the game of baseball, he's in the wrong field right now. He's playing the wrong game in the wrong field, you know? He's kicking a rock around somewhere by third base, trying to find the goal he's supposed to shoot it in. Like, that's where he is right now.
Yeah, the answer to that is not that, oh, just because they're black, they somehow have a better idea, lol. What you're doing is stripping this of all nuance, and you're looking at this in one of the most delusionally reductionist ways imaginable. What it is not only diversity, it's how you properly implement that diversity. Obviously, just having a large group of black people is not going to necessarily lead to any better or worse outcome than having a large group of uneducated white people or something. That's not the key here. The key is that when you have a business or a company or something like the military, and they all have a common goal, implementing diversity in the proper way, mind you, leads to more innovation because you're pulling from a larger pool of information. There is more experience behind that. And then, like I've already demonstrated, that leads to higher rates of innovation. This benefits the military immensely. Like, I want to see the military get stronger. I want our country to be kept safe.
Wow.
And that's what the military does. And so it only makes sense to have a larger pool to gauge information from. That was your argument at the beginning of this.
Right. So, again, it's like even in recent history, our military hasn't been able to do really anything quite effectively. I mean, we got embarrassed in Afghanistan. We were embarrassed in all of our campaigns in the Middle East. And now it's like I really kind of want you to just think about.
We took over Iraq and Afghanistan. We took over Iraq in a month. And Afghanistan, we not only did we take over, we like built the next government. Now the next government failed, but that's not up to our military. That's up to our I get that's up to like the resources that you would commit towards like rebuilding, you know? Like it's a different thing. How much do you want to bet that John Doyle has simped for the Russian army in Ukraine? I would bet anything that's the case. You know, like Russia's getting its shit pushed back in by Ukraine. He did? Yeah, of course he did. Yeah, of course. Because they think Putin is like the next Hitler. Which, I mean, yeah, I guess. Well, now I can't unpause because I'm gonna die to this horse anyway. I can't even roll out of the. I don't want to do this boss. I don't want to do this boss. It's we're not even doing the boss right now. We're doing the run up to the boss. This boss is cancer. It's just cancer. It's a cancer boss, okay? It's... Then skip the boss? Why do people enjoy Souls games? No, 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 no. Okay, the Souls games are good. This boss is cancer. Everybody agrees this boss and the run-up to this boss is cancer. You know what we're running towards? A gank fight where half their attacks will one-hit kill me. If I get there once, that's just the first... I'm gonna have to get there 20 times. 30, maybe. It's Soul Level 1. I thought you said Dark Souls 2 was a good game. I believe that. This boss is bad. It's worse than any part of any other From Software game that I've played. Can you not save when you get to the boss? No, you always go back to the bonfire. Is there, like, a way to save state? Like, save state right at the, at the fog wall? Maybe with cheat engine? I don't want to get cheat engine. I'll keep trying while we're doing this debate.
About like what you're saying to me, which
wait, the run-up with Artorias is awful, but at least was a good fight. This is nothing compared to the run-up with Artorias. Run-up with Artorias was like 30 seconds. You have to dodge by 2 of the Darkroot Gardeners, then a third as they swipe at you, and then you take the elevator down, and then you just run forward into the arena. That's nothing. You can't even get rid of these reindeer things, and you can't avoid them. They spawn in the fog. You can't despawn them. You can't avoid them. They will always come for you.
which is that, you know, if we are to increase, like, what experience do you think, if you just had to guess, maybe there's not a study, if you just had to guess, what experience do you think the average black guy has in terms of dealing with high-level military operations, small unit tactics, that
I don't think they let average black people be in charge of military tactics. I think you have to, like, go to West Point. I think that, yeah, I think they're trained for that role. Like, everyone is. What does the average white person know about that? Ah, well, the average white person can call upon the hereditary DNA experiences of their European ancestry.
that the average white guy just, like, doesn't have. Like, what is that experience that you think he could really bring to the table there?
I don't think that anybody, white, black, gay, straight, women, whatever, have, like, some intrinsic understanding of the military. They would be trained.
Well, then why would you need them for military diversity
because
to make it better? That's the essence of your argument.
No, I think that you're literally thinking that my argument is, like, just...
Wait, the reindeers do despawn? I didn't know that. How many of them are there? Wait, I didn't know that. How many of them are there? We can just kill them. I'll kill them. How many spawn points are there? Wait, we have to find out. Wait. Frigid outskirts spawn point. We have to know. There are 3 areas. Wait, are there only 3 spawn points? We can kill them. We can kick their asses. But how many are there spawn points? Wait, but how many? How many spawning points? Why isn't it saying? I want to know. What are you all spamming emote-wise? Oh, to kill them. Yes, I see. They respawn forever? But they're saying they don't, though. All the people on the Reddit are saying that they can be despawned. One zone if you go the wrong way from the coffin, 1 between the first building and the second, 1 between the second and the third, 2 zones overlapping between the last building and the bridge. we're going to kill every horse in this goddamn fuck valley. We're going to kill every single horse in this valley. I had no idea. I assumed because they spawned rather than were pre-placed with a map load that they would just do it forever. But no, we're going to kill all of them. We need the stone ring, though, so we can stagger them every time. It increases our poise damage. Dropped by the first ogre and things betwixt. I'm pretty sure we have that. Alright, sorry about the delay.
Just take a random woman off the street and plop her in the military, therefore military gets better. That is not what I'm saying.
According to your argument, that would increase innovation.
No. My argument is that
slightly, yes.
My argument is that when you train, obviously to get somebody in the military, they're going to have to train to be in the military. Obviously. I'm not talking about
Which 86% of women fail.
I'm not talking about just grabbing random people and then saying, oh, look, they're black, they must have better ideas. It's that, again, I've said this now 5 times, when you take a large group of people of different identities and they're all focused on a common goal, after all going through the same training, mind you, to get to where they are in the military, or going through the same process to be hired in a hypothetical firm, then you will see higher rates of innovation. I'm not saying that some black person just has an intrinsic understanding of the military, but guess what? Neither do any white guys, okay? They all go through a proper training.
Yes, they do.
And then once they do, when they're all put in a group where they have to have a common outcome or a common goal, we see the diversity and the different experiences and different backgrounds lead to less groupthink and more innovation. And also...
See, you people give me shit for this, but do you understand how much stronger Hunter Avallon's argument would come across right now if you could call John Doyle a retard? Like, do you understand now the importance, the necessity? Do you understand? It's very true. Very important. Can't forget it. Sorry.
One more thing I really want to quickly address. You said, like, oh, we haven't really seen our military do anything recently, yada, yada, yada. I mean, you might be right. I don't know. You might be wrong. But at the end of the day, if you want to look at all of the different innovation that was contributed to our military during, say, World War II, for example, there was a multitude of benefits that were brought to our military from minority groups, whether they were black, women, or gay. So I don't think that you can necessarily just say that they must not have an understanding or they must have the understanding. It's obviously a common goal.
I mean, you say multitudes. There's so many examples. Give me one from World War II.
Navajo Codebreakers?
So Alan Turing, he was a cryptoanalysis for the British government during World War II. He was also a gay man. His code-breaking skills played a pivotal role in intercepting coded German messages. I can give you another...
Yeah, basically won us the war. Like, yeah, Alan Turing... People really understate how effective Alan Turing was. Alan Turing basically... Like, I don't even know how, because, like, the technicalities of how helpful it is are kind of, like, a little beyond me, too. But, like, as I understand it, he basically just broke open all, like, Nazi communication. Like, they... Yeah. He was, like, revolutionary, yeah. And then they chemically castrated him because he was gay. That's not funny. It's like darkly funny that he would be that, like, necessary in the war against Nazis. But who was the real Nazi? England. We know this to be true. He's the father of computer science? Yeah. When they say British intelligence won the war, they mean Alan. The Navajo Code, is it Navajo Code Breakers or Code Takers? Which one is it? They were like super pog as well. They were very, very effective. The Talkers! Sorry, not Takers, Talkers. Thank you, yeah. They're, I don't remember much about them. I know they did some really impressive stuff, though. Okay, so for those of you who care, like, at all, what we've done here is we've gotten a ring that'll let us smash the horses into the ground reliably, which will help with killing them. You know. We're gonna have to take off this piece of armor. There we go.
Another one, the multiplex telegram was used in World War II, was invented by a black man named Granville T. Woods. He also invented the first prototype of the gas mask. If you want another one, Heidi Lamar, she's a woman. She invented the frequency hopping communication system, which now gives us Wi-Fi, GPS, and Bluetooth. These are all things that have benefited the military, that were brought to the military from diversity. So you need to tell me, why are you in
What's the
favor
response
of
gonna be?
weakening the military
Anal sex or
just
Africa?
because you don't want there to be diversity?
Anal
Can
sex
you
or
explain
Africa?
that one to me, please?
I'm not even anti-diversity. I just fail to see the logic behind thinking that the less cohesive you make a group, the more likely it is to be able to successfully fulfill a task, which would require it to be.
I mean, what else would you get from somebody who literally says groupthink is good? It's not that he dodged it. It's that his ideology requires uniformity. That's the thing. Like his ideology can't accept this. You know, even if he believed, and he might believe this, but you know, even if you could prove to him, like you know, concretely, that diversity does lead to better outcomes, he's like anti-diversity on a principle level. You know, he's not anti-diversity on a pragmatic level. It's not like there's an outcome that would change his mind on this.
Be cohesive.
I completely agree with you.
Like,
but what
let
you're
me jump in
advocating
here
for is a
one moment,
lesser
guys. Sorry.
cohesion.
So we've only got a few minutes left, so I want to, John, you can respond to that and then wrap up your own points
That's it?
here, and then we'll go to Hunter. Yeah, unfortunately, it's a very busy studio. I'd love to have you both back, of course, if we can
We
get an
might have
agreement
to.
for that.
A
Yeah, I
structured
don't
debate.
want to end this already, man. We were just
Yeah,
we were
Andrew's
just
having
getting into a
fun
good
now.
combo.
Unfortunately, we do have another show coming up here. So, John, why don't we go to you first? We can give you up to 5 minutes, and then Hunter, we can give you up to 5 minutes as well. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I guess I would just say that, you know, there's a reason when you're, as you would know, Andrew, there's a reason that when you get into the military, they haze you and they shave your head and they basically tell you that you're disposable. I mean, the whole idea psychologically, and again, only 10% are in combat, the whole idea psychologically is to remove any sort of identity you have and tell you that, like, you are a unit and you're going to maybe die, and, like, that's fine. And so this idea that, like...
Okay. He still doesn't understand. And that's bad. No. First of all, when we talk about critical thinking employed in the military, we're not talking about fucking grunts here. Second of all, that's not what happens to soldiers, okay? Obviously, like, there is kind of... There's been a lightening up on hazing in the military, like, massively over the past few decades, in large part because it didn't serve any beneficial purpose. Like, a lot of it was basically just, like, frat hazing, where it was, like tradition based, like, oh yeah, well this is how we do it, but all it really does is make people like angry and miserable and like emotionally disturbed. So they a little bit less of that. Yeah, and a lot of it is just like sexual assault and rape too. You know, a lot of that haha woohoo hazing really is just like fucking punching people's dicks or sucking them off or whatever. Anyway, so there's that. Additionally, even at like, so again, I'm no veteran, you know, but neither is John Doyle, so it doesn't matter. Even when we're talking like relatively low operations in the military, like just you're a private or whatever, you know, just, you know, like you're not some bigwig officer or intel agent or whatever. You know, even at that level, diversity can still be valuable in large part because the absence of diversity entails the existence of gatekeeping, and the last thing that you want when you're trying to get millions of young men to go die in a trench is gatekeeping. You know, this is another thing that the militaries run up against time after time. We did it in World War II. We did it back during the Revolutionary War. When you have when you've got a war that needs fighting, all of a sudden not having black people in there becomes a real fucking issue, and even racists understand that. There were racist privates back during the World War II and the Civil War that didn't want to fight with black people, but the military brass, like there was a pretty strong push to, well, introduce forced diversity into the military. Because what the fuck's the alternative? Like, what, you're just gonna, like, have fewer soldiers? Because you're racist, you know? Dumb. On both sides even know? Yes! On both sides! Guys, don't look it up. The Nazis did this too. There were black and Arab soldiers that fought for the Nazis as their war machine moved further south. Like they were, you know, like in northern Africa. They recruited from there as well. Yeah. Sometimes it was because they found people who were ideologically aligned with the Nazis. You know, like you'd have like crazy far right people in like northern Africa or whatever. A lot of it was just, you know, basically enslavement. I mean, it's not like the Nazis were strangers to slave labor. What do you think they did in those camps? Can I get a citation of that, please? You can literally look it up. North Africa Nazi soldiers. I misspelled like 18 words there. Africa Corps, the German Africa Corps. Let's see. North Africa campaign. The North Africa campaign was often labeled as a war without hate. Okay. Wow, this is a big Wikipedia page. I'm about to be killed by a reindeer. Yeah, no, they did. They did recruit. They didn't recruit that many, but they did. Yeah. That's a pretty big myth. Yeah, don't people myth make about Rommel? Don't people want to promote Rommel as some sort of like apolitical tank commander? Like, dude, he was like they do the same thing with Rommel as they did with like Lee, you know, where they're like, oh yeah, he may have fought for the wrong side, but he was such an honorable warrior. Like, no, nah. All right, sorry, I'm way off topic. I'm no historian, you know.
Like, oh, well, this guy happened to like anal sex, and that's why he was able to create this
What
piece
the
of technology,
fuck?
and that made it better. It's like, you know, don't ask, don't tell. I'm not saying you need to kick people out of the military. I'm just saying that this efforts to purposefully have...
Dude, I don't think about anal sex as much as John. I swear to God, every time I've thought about anal sex since the stream started, it's been because of John, okay? This guy's crazy. He can't stop. The Rommel Papers book satisfied him. He was a typical Prussian aristocrat, somewhat milquetoast when it came to fascist adherence. But yeah. I don't think he was, like, the most goose-stepping goose-stepper. But, I mean, he wasn't some, like, you know... he was no angel. Hold on.
Diversity, which is what we have,
Yeah,
is a waste of military resources. And diversity in general, I mean, I have yet to see any real evidence. I mean, I'm not familiar with the evidence that Hunter's presented. I'd like him to email it to me. But, you know, the most...
Wait, what? I've yet to see any real evidence. I haven't looked at the evidence Hunter's provided. So wait. So there... What? Wait, what? What is he supposed to do about that? That's like having a debate where somebody's like waving a study in front of your face and you have your eyes closed and you're like, well, I haven't seen any evidence. It's like, well, I guess that's true.
The most comprehensive study I think we have on diversity in terms of like ethnicity is of course the Putnam study from 2011. Famous social scientist from Harvard, and he found that as you increase ethnic diversity in a community, everything goes down. Political involvement, trust, everything goes down. The only thing that goes up when you increase diversity is the amount of people protesting and the amount of people watching TV. That's it. So I fail to see and I fail to conceptualize how, you know, the great militaries throughout the world would have been better if they simply had more people from different groups.
Okay, hold on.
Everything goes down. Diversity in terms any real people out of the military. I'm just saying that this efforts to purposefully have diversity, which is what we have, is a waste of military resources. And diversity in general, I mean, I have yet to see any real evidence. I mean, I'm not familiar with the evidence that Hunter's presented. I'd like him to email it to me. But, you know, the most comprehensive study I think we have on diversity in terms of like ethnicity is of course the Putnam study from 2011. Famous social scientist from Harvard, and he found that as you increase ethnic diversity in a community, everything goes down. Political involvement, trust, everything goes down. The only thing that goes up when you increase diversity is the amount of people protesting and the amount of people watching TV. That's it. So
Putnam study. All right, hold on. I remember Mouthy talking about the Putnam study and he and Rosewrist debate. It found the difference was negligible, about 1%. Hold on. Somebody just linked an article. Robert Putnam distorts his own diversity research. Ooh. Is this paper says 2007, not 2011. Is this the same paper, or did Doyle just misremember the year? Which is fine. That's a normal thing to misremember. He shows ethnic diversity is associated with reduced trust, even after controlling for a long list of socioeconomic variables. The analysis of thorough and valuable. By the way, guys, if a far-right person ever hits you with the, did you know that diversity increases distrust in society, hit them with the so what? What? Yeah, because people are racist. So, like, how the fuck is that their problem? You know, if the thing is like people trust each other less when they're racially diverse in the neighborhood, like there are two ways to fix that. We could upend our entire immigration system, deport or deny entry to millions of innocent people who have done nothing wrong, or You could just have people be less racist. Sorry, buddy. I'm going for option 2. Seems like it'd be a good thing to go for anyway. Besides, we do have evidence that, like, prolonged exposure to racial diversity, like being in racially diverse areas, actually makes you less racist with time. So, if anything, this problem solves itself. That's why most, like, racism, super red areas that you see are rural. It cannot tell us whether the effect on trust occurs only over the short term, whether we find new ways to boost solidarity. Furthermore, Putnam never identifies positive effects of diversity of his own data, although an arguable exception is greater interest in politics, and he certainly never uses his data to address the question of whether diversity's benefit outweighs its disadvantages. Indeed, Putnam's data analysis section reads as a relentless, unsparing critique of diversity with no promise of a long-run turnaround. Uncomfortable with the implications of the data analysis, Putnam sandwiches it between misdirection and speculation. I don't know how much I can go off this paper here, this National Review paper. I don't really know enough about it. Let me see. Putnam diversity paper. Yeah, this is a 2007 paper. How about use 30,000 Americans found people living in more diverse areas, reported lower levels of trust in their neighborhoods, less interest in political shit. In other words, greater diversity seemed to be linked to both feelings and behaviors that threaten a sense of community. Okay, how many socioeconomic factors did he control for here? Have you guys ever noticed that a lot of bad studies will, like, try to attribute something to something when the real thing that's being looked at is whether or not people live in cities? Right? Like, when people link, like, diversity to crime, and it's like, bro, where do you think the immigrants go to? Fucking cornfields in Nebraska? Like, they're in cities, which have high crime rates anyway. Did you think cities had low crime rates in, like, the 1890s? Like, come on, you know? Let me see. Damn, this guy's paper was cited in a court case. Fisher versus University of Texas. Another factor that skewed results. It seems like a lot of people have taken issues with this paper. I'll take a look at it later, though, because I am interested in hearing the rest of this debate with John Doyle. Not sure that's the same study. Okay, yeah, well, there are probably a lot here. Hold on.
I fail to see and I fail to conceptualize how, you know, the great militaries throughout the world would have been better if they simply had more people from different groups or more women or more gay people.
I wish Hunter would bring up the whole all great historical empires have had, like, multicultural militaries. But, okay. Yeah. That's, you know, he did kind of get this sprung on him.
That doesn't compute. And, you know, on paper, it sounds like it makes a lot of sense. But when we square that with what we know about how humans behave and interact with each other, I think it really doesn't make sense. And I think that's actually why he relies so heavily on papers and studies and things.
He literally cannot go beyond, like, well, I think people of different races don't get along. Therefore, everything else in reality is subservient to that misunderstanding. It's like you guys understand his argument right now is literally, I can't comprehend it. That is actually the argument that he's employing. That is remarkable. I can't believe I dodged that. I thought for sure I was going to get hit there. Fascists are so strange. They really are. It's wacky, wacky stuff.
Like that, because he doesn't seem to want to argue just from, like, his own logic. He wants to, again, play the Pokemon card. I've got my EX card. It's peer reviewed, and it's like, my
who's bringing up
Christ,
Marvel movies now?
You just can't really argue from within, from what you know. So
Charizard cards going for hundreds of thousands of dollars these days. I'd like to implore you guys to watch some Pawn Stars, maybe. Hunter, you got the floor for up to 5 minutes. Say whatever you want. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and just respond to all the really retarded things that John Doyle
said.
So, first and foremost, he complained last time in his video about a bunch of sexual assaults happening in the military, and he attributed that to gay people, when in fact, the sexual assault rise in the military is actually a result of hazing. So, oftentimes we see sexual assaults at skyrocketing rates because straight men will literally go and sexually abuse other men simply for the sake of hazing. This is a huge problem. You can read about it on
hazing, which John Doyle defended.
If you don't believe it. So, very good argument, John. Not sure why you're in favor of more sexual assault. Second of all, Putnam's study. Very fun.
Yeah, just so you guys know, okay, gay men aren't the one who do homosexual hazing in, like, frats and and the military and shit, okay? That's 100% straighties. You know why? Because gay people think of men sexually engaging with other men as something erotic and fun. Straight men think of it as something humiliating. And as a product of that, they're the ones who are drawn to that for hazing. You know, like, from the perspective of, like, a gay guy, it's like, oh, how do we, like, shame and humiliate someone? What if we did something gay with that? Like, that's a straight guy way of thinking. You know, maybe straight. You know, maybe they're repressing something. I'm just saying that's not exactly a classic homo move right there.
Funny that you referenced that one. The Putnam study was actually, the reason that they found that result was not because of diversity. It was rather because there were racist dipshits like you, John, who were angry that black people were there. So because there were racists, that negatively affected
this is my argument. Based.
Not having black people. In fact, there are way better studies which have shown that when you put white and black people together in the same community, white people tend to become less racist because they no longer perceive a threat by people that look different from them. Okay? Second of all, when it comes to the military, minorities fare just as well in the military when the military emphasizes the end goal of the mission rather than getting hung up on unique individual traits. You talk about cohesion, I agree with you. A unit that is not cohesive will not function properly, but you are wrongly attributing this idea that having diversity is somehow going to harm cohesion. That's not true. Cohesion actually benefits when you accept more people because, again, you lower the perceived threat, and in turn, you then get a benefit, which is more innovation. So there have already been...
Yeah, I just gotta say, if you're in, like, a military unit and the cohesion of your unit is broken by having a guy with a different skin tone in it, like, you're fucked on the battlefield, bro. Like, really? Right? Like, isn't that... Isn't that indicative, perhaps, of some, poor battlefield engagement right there? I don't know why there were two of them. We gotta kill some horses, folks. We gotta keep killing. This is one of the reasons the Confederacy lost. Yeah, literally. The funny thing is, okay, again, I'm not a historian. I'm only citing what I've read from other people. But I've read papers. Well, okay, I won't exaggerate. I've read a paper which cited other sources, which suggested that one of the contributing factors to the Confederacy's overwhelming defeat was the fact that they were so unwilling to weaponize slaves, you know? Now, don't get me wrong. Drafting their slaves as war slaves would not have been an ethical thing to do. However, it would have been about as ethical as what they were already doing, which was enslaving them. You know, like, we're already ethically on pretty shaky ground here, I'd say. So, but the Confederates were deeply uncomfortable with the idea of giving slaves guns. And as a product of that, there were literally millions of potential soldiers who they could have just lied and said, we'll free you if we win the war. We'll free anyone who fights for the Confederacy. We'll free you and we'll give you land. Then, like, lied. Like, why not? They're already, like, fucking evil, you know? But the funny thing was, they couldn't go with that plan because the slave owners were so egotistical that they didn't even want to concede the lie, you know? They didn't even want the false hope in the slaves. So, like, literally, like, racism was one of the things the Confederacy probably would have lost anyway, you know? But still. Thank God for racism being a generally ineffective strategy, I guess.
Been studies, for example, that have shown that when people are hung up on gender identity or sexual orientation, they actually destabilize their military rather than protecting their own capabilities. That harms the military at the end of the day. So again, not sure, John, why you're in favor of a weaker military. And lastly, you say, I'm just relying on studies, using them as Pokemon cards, yada, 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 this thing, the other thing, instead of feeling what's within. I'm sorry, I don't know why you seem to be operating on a very womanly kind of basis here, but in my mind, I like to put facts over feelings, okay? And right now, for someone like you, who unironically said, that women are less rational, I'm not sure why you are now relying on your own fifis to come to a conclusion when that's not how the world works.
God,
if
I
we
love
went ahead
Hunter.
and went by your logic, we would all be here believing the world is flat. Now, I don't know what you believe. Maybe you do believe that. But for most rational people, we recognize that the world is actually round, even though we've never seen the round Earth. We don't gauge within our own logic and our own little feelings. We look at studies and data. And when you look at a multitude of studies, I'm not just pulling one fucking study out of my ass here. We have a plethora of different data points, all showing that diversity integrated into companies betters the company. Diversity integrated in the military betters the military. The reason our military is the strongest and most successful military in the entire world is largely attributable to diversity.
Damn, I'm impressed. He actually had all the points in mind. He was actually getting ready to respond through all that, you know? Oh god, why did I pause and then the horses? Oh shit. Why are there two of them? I didn't even see the second one there. Well, we're doing a good job with our horse genocide. We're clearing out the pathway to the boss, and after this, it's just going to be like a solid 90-second long run to the boss, and then we'll be fine.
All right, thank you, voice. Thank you both, boys, for coming on.
Andrew,
Hold on.
Give me 30
Yes, I will give you that 30 seconds in a moment. Thank you guys for coming on. If you guys want to come back on in June, we can get you back on for a more structured debate with more particular questions for you both to respond to. Hunter Avallon's YouTube channel and Instagram and Twitter, you can find him on his own name, I believe, Avallone, and on his Discord, John Doyle, of course, Heck Off Comedy on YouTube. He's also often on Blaze TV, Slightly Offensive, and all those wonderful shows. John Doyle, you were called a racist, so you want to get 30 seconds for that?
Do I get 30 seconds to respond from there?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm actually the least racist person, but in our follow-up to
Oh, I was wondering if he was going to explain that. I was gonna guess why he's about to say that, but I don't think he's gonna elaborate. So my Joseph Joestar moment will mean nothing.
debate. In the meantime, I would be curious, and I'm sure he'd be more than happy to send me all the information which he was citing. And I can assure you that in the first part of our debate, if I'm allowed to speak uninterrupted, I will refute one by one every single study he cites because it's wrong. And I don't know the studies because I don't really keep up with that kind of stuff, but I know they're wrong. And you can laugh, don't believe me, but just at least remember that I said it because that's what will happen. I'll prove to you that they're all incorrect. In terms of the Putnam study rebuttal, he pronounced the name wrong of the author, but claims to know like the ins and outs of it.
He got the date wrong.
Actually racist white people because they didn't trust each other either. If you read the study, you would know that trust as a general, as an aggregate, went down. So if that what you're saying was the case, measuring trust is just like that, it'd be like,
what? Wait, what? Wait, the decrease in trust wasn't motivated by racism because it was measured as a general value, and there's no way distrust felt towards minority communities could weigh against the average aggregate value of trust. Okay, Jesus Christ. He's stupider than Nick. He's stupider and he's less charismatic. The only thing that he has more of is self-control. And even that's only a matter of time. Nazism is basically just politicized mental illness. Also, I think we got all the horses in this zoning area. See? We walked through the whole storm. And, I don't know why I talk. This might be from the other loading zone, though. Wait, where? No, wait, I went off track! I went off track. I went to the left. Okay. Well, this is on me then. This is from the out of bounds loading zone. Okay. Get back here.
like, oh, white people mad at black people, but white people didn't trust each other anyways. Also, in terms of diversity, I don't want to kick anybody out. They're lowering the bar to allow these people into the military. That's my problem.
Hunter, 30 seconds, really tight.
So first and foremost, again, we're seeing John relying heavily on his fifis. I don't know if maybe he's still a snowflake in need of a safe space here, but again,
you gotta leave 2016.
No, I'm staying in 2016 because they seem to be bothering you, and I think that's very funny. So again, I rely on the data. John relies on his feelings, as demonstrated by him saying he's never read the studies, but I'm sure they're all just wrong, LOL. Second of all, I don't care if I pronounced the author's name incorrectly. The reason the trust was lower was because there was a higher rate of racism. Racists are scared of black people, and if they act racist, that lowers the trust that black people have in the general community as well. This is why we have seen that accepting all identities benefits cohesion when it's implemented properly.
Okay, back to me. Thank you both. Hunter, you going to come back for a debate with John Doyle?
Yeah, maybe. But I never got it. I never got an opening statement either. So it's a little sad.
You'll get a big opening statement next time. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you both for coming on. I appreciate you both. It's hard to get people to come together and talk like this. Thank you, guys.
Hell yeah. See you.
Shark.
Well, that went well.
300. What a king. Nicely done, Hunter. Shark 300 met this guy at CPAC and said his last girlfriend was white. Doyle said, not sure how we feel about that. What the fuck? Just... Oh, that guy has double crossbows. That's funny as fuck. Oh, that's so funny. Shark is a king? Yeah, Hunter's a king, Shark is a king. Well, let's focus on Hunter right now, because that's the debate we just watched. That was really good from Hunter, I think.
And now I have a bunch of fucking copers in my in my chat. All right.
Okay, one thing that I think really works to Hunter's benefit, like massively so, is the fact that when he's arguing with the right, he's never going to shake the perception they have of him being like a lib-cuck soy boy, right? So he doesn't even bother, like, arguing against that, which makes him, I think, a lot more effective. I think Hunter would be a lot less effective if he postured a bunch, you know what I mean? He doesn't have to prove himself to anyone. Dude's got a fucking wife and kids. Literally, he's got a house. Like, he doesn't have to posture to anyone, And he doesn't feel like he has to, and I think that makes him look way more confident going in, Because at first, John Doyle types come in, and they're like, hey, you like Marvel movies, because they're looking for, like, an epic slam dunk on the soy boy dude, but then the soy boy dude doesn't take the bait, and he just starts, like, throwing out arguments at them, and John Doyle starts sweating, starts getting nervous, Whew. Starts, forehead starts to perspire. You know what I mean, right? My favorite part when he called Doyle the R word. That was my favorite part too. Yeah. I had no idea you could get rid of the reindeer. I can't believe I never knew that, and I'm so happy that I know that now. The thing is, the reindeer are so tanky and so annoying to deal with, unless you have a weapon like the one I'm holding right now, that it's often better just to run past. And that's always what I did when I had enough health to survive it. I'm seeing a lot of people saying the shooter was a Nazbol. I saw a section in the manifesto where he said he was originally a communist but moved towards the right or something. It doesn't really matter. Nazbols are Nazis. I don't recognize the distinction. Economically, idiosyncratic positions are pretty common with fascists. Even Hitler was writing manifestos on, like, workers' rights or whatever. They'll say whatever they have to say. What they really care about is populism and sort of, ethnic supremacy. Any other thing they come up with is in service of that value. Like, Nazbols are a subset of Nazis, not a subset of communists. Yeah, but he was like 13 when he was a communist, right? There's literally no reason to engage with it. He said very clearly why he did the shooting. He did the shooting because of the Great Replacement Theory. That's something that Tucker Carlson talks about every goddamn night on his show. There's no looking at that and going like, oh, well, this was a left-wing shooting. Like, it's incredibly clear why he did it. Yeah, he literally said he believes in neo-Nazism. Like, okay. What's the difference between Nazbols and Strasserites? Effectively none. Effectively none. The shooter was a PCM user. That fits. PCM is a pretty far-right subreddit. This is why we need strong gun control. I don't know if this has been confirmed, but one thing that I heard is that there was actually a security guard in the grocery store who fired a shot at the shooter, but it didn't work because the shooter had body armor on. You can look at subreddit stats. PCM users are all ANCAPs, and ANCAPs are fascists. It is known. What shooter? The mass shooter in Buffalo, New York. Yeah, the good guy with the gun didn't do anything. Of course, the only reason the good guy with the gun didn't do anything is because he was holding a gun that can't breach body armor. If only he was holding one of those assisted recoil 50 caliber anti-materiel rifles we looked at on stream the other day. That would have punched through the body armor, the body armor on the other side, the wall behind him, the car outside the building, and then possibly a person behind the car. Why do you say material so weird? Because it's spelled differently from materiel. It's with an E, isn't it? If only he had a javelin. A security guard with a javelin in every grocery store. You'd be so much more convincing if you didn't go to extremes all the time. All ANCAPs are fascists. It's not an extreme. I sincerely believe that. I genuinely, like, right libertarianism, which ANCAPs are they're just fascist. Like, look at all of their communities. Like, everywhere, all the time. This isn't like some, like, you know, niche political lefty take or whatever. There's an overwhelming overlap between right libertarians, especially ANCAPs, because they're very right, very libertarians. Yeah, have you not played BioShock? That's what it was all about. How anarcho-capitalist ideology led to fascism as the most powerful corporations consolidated to use the elements of the state to protect their profits. Like, yeah. Well, it doesn't really matter because ANCAP isn't a real political ideology. Fascism is. Excuse me. Fascism is, you know. It's a bad one, but it's a real political ideology that can and has existed. Fascism is a thing that has happened, you know. Anarcho-capitalism hasn't. And it won't. Fuck you. Fuck you. We're about to get reindeered. We're about to get rain in our parade. Don't do that. They did that. I think you're wrong on that, Vaush, buddy. What'd I do? Wrong on what? This is just straight up anti-Semitism for Bad Empanada? Yes, Bad Empanada is an anti-Semite. Oh, sorry, we still have Hunter's thing up. Not that I dislike looking at Hunter. Look how happy he looks there. I'm going to just talk with chat for a bit, then I'll turn TTS back on. Because that's what I was going to do originally, you know. Yep, Saxy Jacks, for sure, for sure. Radical Review is a great video explaining why this is through the lens of Ayn Rand. Yeah, I'm literally in that video. Guys, here, okay, so okay, can we talk about anarcho-capitalism and why it's not real and also why it's fascism, okay? It's very, very simple, okay? If you take a look at anarcho-capitalist groups online, you're going to see a diverse range of people in terms of their positions on political progressivism, but most of them tend to be kind of like reactionary politically, you know? Like, there's a reason why when Jo Jorgensen, the Libertarian Party candidate for 2020, announced her support of Black Lives Matter, it was met with, like, pretty negative results from the Libertarian Party. Like, literally, Black Lives Matter was about addressing police violence. Police are literally the violent wing of the state. The idea of libertarians taking issue with a political movement based around critiquing the state is unbelievable. But that's what happened. Because a lot of libertarians are just weed-loving Republicans, you know? Being a Republican's uncool, except for now, because now, like, the MAGA movement has, like, appeal for young people. So maybe libertarianism's on the downswing, because there is a cool avenue for Republican voters. But yeah, when you take a look at, like, the tendencies here, you know, you have to think about what fascism really is and what fascism really looks like. You know what I mean? The simplest economic definition of fascism is like the collaboration of the state and the corporate body, which is exactly what would happen in any anarcho-capitalist society, because the strongest corporation would immediately just take the role of the state. Why wouldn't they? Why would they not use their wealth and power to protect their own property rights by establishing, say, for example, a dispute resolution, like a system which effectively operates as like a court system? Why would they not just buy up company towns, you know? It's undeniably, like, you know, a gateway to authoritarianism, but I think it goes further than that too. because fascism usually revolves around like the sort of ethnically centric revitalization of a national mythos. And I think ANCAPs talk about that a lot too. You don't have to look very far in anarcho-capitalist forums to find people who are, you know, talking about Western ingenuity as a kind of dog whistle. And in fact, the foremother of anarcho-capitalism, Ayn Rand, talked about, like, wealthy job creators the same way Nazis talk about, like, their Aryan forefathers. Have you guys ever actually read Ayn Rand? In Ayn Rand novels, like, the well-to-do, like, job-creating business lords, they're not just smart people. They're existentially superior to other human beings. Can people back me up on this? The entire story is like cringy fanfic where, like, every business magnate is like a Mary Sue, you know? It's like they're never, like, flawed people. And the argument in the books isn't just that they're better than you, though that is part of the argument. The argument is that they're better than you, and in addition to that, the fact that they are better than you means you should stay the fuck out of their way. That they are better humans, and that means they should be given deference to do what they will. And it is not a tremendous surprise when you look at a lot of libertarian far-right circles, and you'll see Nazi imagery combined with libertarian imagery. Because for them, libertarianism is nothing but an economic framework to describe the perceived intellectual superiority of the Aryan race. That's what they believe. That when they read Ayn Rand and its stories of innate human superiority and societies cultivated to give way to those innately superior people, you know, what do you think they think? Do you think they think, ah, yes, Jewish and black entrepreneurs are very valuable and must be protected? No, of course not. Any system which prioritizes hierarchy and intrinsic supremacy is going to be a magnate for fascism.